Hi, good afternoon. I was supposed to be doing an interview with an amazing woman that you all know her name, but we'll just wait until we can reschedule. She had to be at a convention for the last several days and the time just got a little bit too tight. So I want to take this opportunity to spend it with you and tell you why this time is so powerful and so critical right now to each of us, and that we can't ignore it anymore, what's going on in the world. It's becoming so in our face for a specific reason, and that reason is so we pay attention and stop being like the mice in this, lukewarm water, not jumping out, but just being slowly cooked to death. And that's what's happening. So now the pot has begun to boil and people are looking out there what's happening in the world and finally paying attention. So that is like an important time right now, that we also go inside and really, really look at what's going on in our own inner self. Let me make sure that's not her. Oh, okay. Sorry, it's somebody that's going to have to wait. So anyway, it's important to go inside and really do our inner work, because we're projecting all these things into the world. So we wake up, so we pay attention, because the soul is saying no more. It reminds me of a documentary that I saw when Greg Braden had done his book, 0 Point or something similar. And underneath a very ancient church, and I think there was like 3 layers, but even under that was a temple, and all the goddesses weren't defaced yet, like the more recent ones they had found in the last 1,000 years or hundreds of years hadn't been defaced yet. And they were all goddesses, but in there was a split. And then people say, well, they talk about 5th and 6th dimensional, and either staying in chaos or rising the vibration. And how is that going to happen? And it really is an energy frequency. So for instance, what was shown on the inside of these walls, these beautiful walls that were all painted and etched, was kind of like a split, like a V. And so what you saw was, up here was warring and darkness, and look like drought and, plants, dead plants and things like that. And down below, the split, and it wasn't up or down, it was a different path. And what it was showing was joy and lightness and beautiful crops, just this plentiful earth, or wherever, dimension, I should say. So yeah, that was where she went, dimensions of disclosure. So anyway, back to this, and that this 0 Point, what he was talking about, I'm not actually sure if that was the title of the book, but it's something close. It was showing how time was just becoming condensed, and that it was like falling on itself, instead of, at one point it was like cause and effect millions of years later, and it got quicker and quicker, that 0 Point. So what happened is we then became conscious what we thought started, coming to be, if it was 10 years and then 5 years, and then, that many can do the more immediate. And it was when time collapses on itself, then it will be instantaneous. The thing about it, we think, oh, isn't that amazing? We can manifest anything we want really quickly. The problem is the programs we have running inside. We have all these programs of unworthiness, of not good enough, of Jesus died on the cross for us sinners. I mean, all of this BS that was designed by those in power that wanted to keep us small. The Vatican is what I'm speaking about in my book. It's not a faith. It's not Christianity or whatever it is, the people. It's the religious order. Religious orders get contaminated by those in power about greed. And they're the main property owners, the wealth, the Vatican, the crown, the 13 dark families, the Illumin, who's very naughty. So these are the controlling factors on the planet, and we're just allowing it to happen because we don't understand that they were very aware of human consciousness and even the words of Yeshua and Mary Magdalene, and purposely cutting her out. There's a reason they cut her out. The divine feminine is what gives us the intuition, the knowing, she's not the warrior. The only warrior she is the internal warrior to bring about love and peace and not to war outside. So it's this ability to birth, to manifest. And there's great jealousy about this. And so we had to keep the women small. She became a prostitute instead of the beloved of Yeshua. And not only the beloved, but in a very, very enlightened being as he was. And he told me many times as he came to me in the early mornings and said, I never said, I never insinuated I was the only son of God. We are all sons and daughters of God. We are all, and it's not just sons and daughters, it's everything is a divine aspect of consciousness that just wanted to express itself and witness in the world. So right now what we're doing is we have to learn that these people know how they control us, and how they control us is through fear. And they plot us against each other. And this is the saddest thing. I don't want to hear anymore what blacks did or whites did or the Jews did or, every race there is or country or color of skin. Let's look at who's trying to instigate this. Who is trying to get us to keep fighting and warring among ourselves based on color of skin, religion, where we came from? It's these families and the Vatican and the crown that wants to keep us under control. Do you know how much land that, everybody thinks that they own their own land. They don't. We have to read the contract, really. We've actually turned the land over to the crown. So the crown and the Vatican, do your research. I don't want to make this long, but I can tell you, you should look up really Sasha Stone and many of his interviews that are very powerful, very concise. He has a great mind for detail. I don't remember names. I know intuitively what's going on. I'm shown. I resonate if it's truth or falsehood. So right now, this is about the absolute importance of start doing your inner work, because we are down to the wire now. It's not about, politics at all. It's another way to start pointing our finger at something. And the sad thing is, those that tried to reveal the truth, Kennedy was shot because of it. Eisenhower alluded to it, but he knew he would be in jeopardy, and so had to keep quiet. He definitely did on several occasions try to warn the American people, and we need to wake up now. We have to stop being controlled by these media companies. And I have to hand it to the young people, because my generation and my parents' generation, when TV came in the 50s, we were totally mind controlled. Even I remember as a kid, my dad telling me they had to take off certain things of commercials because underlying were subliminal messages. Well, that's in everything. Do you ever notice that? All programming, now it's more blatant, but they had to take out run to your cupboard and buy this, or get this, or go to the store and buy whatever. Or go smoke some Marlboro cigarettes, or whatever it was. That had to be taken out. That was caught. Now it's in our face, but we're not getting it. There's so much happening. So you know what that is. And if you don't, start researching. So anything you can do to get your health back, to get the clarity of your mind instead of being driven by fear, you have to do it now. There's no more waiting. So this book is really about a cast of characters that seem to live in separate worlds. And in the beginning, they're waking up to these dreams. You're wondering, like, how all of these characters, what are they going to have in common? And then you find this journey that they go on, and the ultimate, the gifts as it goes through the journey of what they discover and what they have to do, and each one of us has to do. So this was given to me, and a lot of the information is actually factual. I turned it into a novel. A lot of it is about events that happened in my own life, and it was an amazing journey, and I hope you take the time to read it and realize really the truth behind Mary Magdalene, the gifts that Yeshua wanted to give us as a people. He never wanted to be on a cross. He never wanted to be claimed as the only Son of God. He came as a great avatar, and so did Mary Magdalene, to empower us, not disempower us, not tell us that we should be shamed or blamed or made small. No, it was intended. It's like a parent. What the Vatican has done is like horrid parenting, where you're so frightened of your children's success because it'll make you look small or you will lose control, that you do everything since birth to sabotage them. Tell them they're worthless. Tell them they're stupid. Tell them they're not good enough. Tell them do better, work harder, try, whatever it is. And whatever unfulfilled things that they wanted to do and never had the courage to do it or the ability, they're going to shove that down their kids' throats. That is bad parenting, to actually think what that soul came to learn and do, and to, instead of promoting that, encouraging it, hoping they'll be better and brighter than you for a better future. The Vatican is like those horrid parents that keep stomping people down, making them fearful, making them terrorized about the outcome of life or death, or, whatever they want to do. They've done horrific things through the centuries. And so if you're just a blind Catholic, and I went to a Catholic school for 8 years and I know the programming and I never bought it. But if you are one, or a Christian, that just goes along with the program and doesn't search within your own soul, then you're going to be led down a very difficult road, and you can stay in that blaming others, thinking you're the chosen ones, waiting to be saved, when it is the self, the divine, masculine, feminine, integrated into one, that actually saves each one of us. We're our own savior. And the only way to actually access God, or Christ, as they say, Christ is Christo, it's the anointed one, and he became anointed through Mary Magdalene. So he actually, that is the sacred heart, the divine heart. Each one of us has that ability to go through those sacred doors and become Christed ourselves. There's no one out there that's going to save us. That's the dream. That's the illusion. So it's time to wake up. And I hope you enjoy my book. I hope you find it a fun read, a mysterious read, and yet also take it very seriously, a powerful read. And you can email me. There's information in the back if you have questions or whatever comments, but it's called The Awakening Ones. You can go to my website and click book, and it'll take you right to the Amazon site. and or go directly to Amazon. So have a really blessed day, and let's wake up. Let's see what's happening in the world. Be aware of it. Don't be sheep about it, but then also take charge from a very centered and grounded, unfearful self that knows that this outer being is just a shell, it's just the vehicle, that the soul will live forever, but it wants to grow, it wants to expand, and it wants to be sovereign. And right now, not one of us actually is free. We are all slaves. And you can find an incredible video on that too, with Sasha Stone, of a woman that was in jail for 8 years, and what she learned, because every day she studied law, unjustly, ridiculously in jail. And it's, I mean, when you listen to it, you can't even believe it could happen. But that's when I found out about each one of us became a number at birth, and we are being traded, and we are being manipulated. And that, the banks never have to touch money. It's empty paper. They're hoping you default on your home so they can take it, because before there's nothing. There's just paper. And so they have nothing but a piece of paper. But when you default on it, they get your home. And how the queen, now this said in here that the queen owns all the land. If you look at it, it can be reclaimed. The crown. But she's just the puppet in the front. But she has her own land, and she's very aware of what's going on. So it's worthwhile. Also, please do take a look at Sasha Stone's information. I'll probably put a couple links in here also, and have a really blessed day. Take care. We'll end this meeting now.